Hi class, I'm going to be talking to you today very briefly from the Missouri Hill Country. It's freezing out here, typical Midwestern winter weather. So this week we were talking in the forum about international cooperation, and there are just a few things I want you to consider when you think of that. International cooperation is not easy. Generally speaking, nation-states are driven by self-interest. They work in power blocks. There are those in the world, of course, who believe that we should have a one-world government, and I think we may have that one day. I think it would be a gigantic bureaucratic nightmare, but I do think it may come. I do think it will come about one day. But for the time being, we work in blocks, and so it's difficult sometimes to get people to work together. Not only that, but there are some other things to consider. For example, the United States is certainly not made out of money, although many people think that we are, apparently. But we do have a lot of resources, and some of the people that we work with in these other countries, their departments and that sort of thing, do not have these resources. So that is one thing we need to take into consideration. Another thing that we need to take into consideration is corruption, official corruption. For example, in Nigeria, as many of you know, there is a fight going on with the Somali terrorists. And so although there is certainly a need there to fight al-Shabaab, the government of Nigeria, if it does receive funds, the government is very, very corrupt. The police, the army, and the government officials. So how much of that money actually goes to fighting al-Shabaab or other terrorist groups in that region? The people have no real confidence in the government there. And so how can you get the people to be on your side if you're pocketing the funds? So those are some of the things that we need to consider when we think about international cooperation and terrorism. I'm not a big fan of having the UN take the lead in coordinating international terrorism. I'm sure some of you have noted in my comments that I'm just not too crazy about that. I think the UN, when it was created, had a great mission. I think since that time it's become a entity of its own with its own agenda, and its agenda sometimes is not in line with what is best for the people of the United States, which is always what my agenda is. So those are some of the things we need to consider. We have some great allies, for example, the Israelis, the Brits, some of the other nations around the world, I'm sure. But, you know, we have to remember they're power blocks. We don't have control over them like we do here in the States. You have to be very cognizant of where they're coming from, what they can do and what they cannot do. So those are some of the things we need to consider. I would be happy for any of you to ask me questions. Just go to this link in the forum and type out a reply, and I'll get back to you. All right, thank you very much, and have a great week. Bye.